girl was taken hostage on the top floor of a building here in downtown Detroit. Details are still emerging on what exactly happened, but the hostage taker could be the family's android. Negotiator on site.
Unlike TV or movies, games have a distinct advantage in storytelling through interactivity. A lot of the time this takes a fairly passive role, allowing players to take the role of protagonist, but making them more or less a passenger to the story and events that will unfold as a result of their actions. Sometimes, however, games will force players to make choices which have profound and lasting consequences on the story. It may affect a relationship with, or the fate of, an NPC, determine the character's path as a renegade or paragon, or impact the ending of the game. Welcome back to GameGentleman. In this video, we'll cover 10 games where your choices actually matter. A quick warning, as we're talking about narrative choices and consequences, we will be discussing spoilers. Before we get started, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to our channel, and turn on notifications so you'll never miss an update. We're also waiting to hear from our Assassin's Creed Valhalla Collector's Edition winner Fraser Gunn. Fraser, if you're still watching our videos, reach out to us on the email address in our About section and we'll arrange to send you your Collector's Edition when it arrives. We'll give Fraser one more week to claim his prize, otherwise we'll redraw the competition. Number 10. Telltale's The Walking Dead. We're starting this list out with a bit of a debatable entry. Telltale's signature style of episodic interactive narratives, which cover IPs from The Walking Dead to Batman, were underpinned by narrative choices. From dialogue to actions, players were forced to make choices throughout each chapter, finding out how their choices compare with other players at the end of the chapter. Telltale's The Walking Dead was full of choices which would affect which characters would survive through zombie encounters and who you align with or put offside through your dialogue choices. These choices are permanent and you will see the impacts of saving one person over another unfold in the following chapters. Where the controversy of this entry comes in is the inevitability of some character fates and the overarching narrative. Certain characters will still die regardless of whatever choices you make throughout the episodes. This was particularly apparent between seasons 1 and 2, as there was ultimately a canon series of events which occur in season 1 and a single starting point for season 2. This issue was rectified with Season 3, which had multiple starting points depending on player choices in Season 2. Number 9. Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines. Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines takes you on a journey as a fledgling vampire and introduces you to a world of vampire factions and politics. Based on the tabletop RPG of the same name, the game will have a number of choices for you to make throughout the story. However, one of the biggest choices you'll make is the very first one you're presented with. Which clan are you aligned with? Will you be a powerful Brujah or an aristocratic Venture? Or will you align yourself with the Nosferatu? Each of these clans will alter the way you can interact with the world around you, with the Nosferatu in particular, meaning you will not be able to seamlessly blend in with the outside world and have to spend your time hiding in the shadows and sewers under the city. Number 8. Fallout New Vegas. The 2010 Fallout spin-off created by Obsidian Entertainment is widely considered to be one of the best entries in the Fallout franchise. After you're left shot and left for dead in the Mojave Desert trying to deliver a package to New Vegas, you must begin your quest to find your attacker and recover the package. Every action you take in the wasteland will ultimately reshape the landscape of New Vegas. Who do you side with? Are you a pacifist or a cold-blooded killer? Your reputation means everything, and entire quests and plots can be locked off depending on your actions. Number 7. The Witcher 3 Wild Hunt. It should come as no surprise that many RPGs could easily make this list, and in our opinion, The Witcher 3 is the greatest RPG of the modern era. Side missions and optional quests you complete throughout your time in the game will ultimately decide which allies you have fighting along your side in the assault on Kaer Morhen, and choices you make throughout the third act of the game will lead to one of 3 possible endings. But that's not the only time your actions will have lasting consequences. During one of the game's earlier quests, Family Matters, you encounter a character named the Bloody Baron, a self-appointed leader of Velen who has had contact with Ciri and can possibly help Geralt find her whereabouts. in exchange for Geralt doing something for him, of course. The Baron's story could use a 10-minute video all of its own, but in effect, it starts with the Baron asking Geralt to find his wife and child, and throughout this multi-part story quest, you find the Baron was abusive, his wife miscarried, and the unborn child became a creature known as a botchling. You're tasked with either killing the creature or lifting the curse, and you continue your quest to find his wife and child. You track his wife down to Crookbag Bog, only to find her cursed by the crones. And depending on how you play out the course of the events that follow, the Bloody Baron will either be reunited with his wife and search for a way to cure her madness, or his wife will die and the Baron will ultimately take his own life. Well, that was a bit depressing. How about we move on to the next entry for something a little happy? Oh, wait. Number 6. This War of Mine. Look, oftentimes when you talk about choices in games, they're not always happy choices. This War of Mine was developed by Polish studio 11-Bit Studios and focuses on the impact of war from the perspective of civilians caught in the conflict. While you may survive your playthrough of the game, you'll never find the game described as a happy fun time. In this War of Mine, players take control of a group of survivors in a makeshift shelter. While the shelters themselves are not procedurally generated, character skills, items, locations, and resources are. This War of Mine is a survival game, so players must manage their characters' health, hunger, and mood levels. Player choices intertwine throughout the entirety of the game, as resources are scarce and characters need near constant supervision. You can venture out in order to scavenge resources, however, in doing so you're taking a risk of a character getting injured, not gathering enough resources for the energy you expend, and potentially leaving your base unprotected. The add-on, This War of Mine the Little Ones, adds children into the equation, adding even more heartbreaking choices for the player to make. Number 5. Life is Strange. Much like Telltale's The Walking Dead, Life is Strange is an episodic, narrative-driven game where your decisions matter and conversations can branch out in a number of ways. However, where Life is Strange differs is in your ability to rewind time and explore different dialogue options. Now that may sound like your decisions don't matter, as you can just simply rewind time and make a different one. But while the stakes are low in the beginning, the consequences of your decisions escalate throughout the game's episodes, and sometimes they're not immediately apparent. Make particular choices in the early hours of the game, and you'll be faced with the death of a character later on. Additionally, in Life is Strange's climax, a huge storm threatens to wipe out the small town of Arcadia Bay. You learn that your actions at the start of the game, saving your best friend, is what brings the storm on. You must make the ultimate decision whether to save your best friend or save the small town of Arcadia Bay. Number 4. Detroit Become Human. Just about any game written by David Cage and developed by Quantic Dream could have made this list. However, we've decided to go with their latest title, Detroit Become Human. Detroit Become Human explored the narrative of choice, sentience, and free will. And it's a David Cage game, so was there any doubt this game would be full of narrative choices? Detroit Become Human focuses on 3 independent stories which intertwine throughout the game's runtime, and each chapter of the story is full of narrative and action-based choices. Much like Telltale's The Walking Dead, players can see how their actions and choices unfold at the end of each chapter, showcasing not only the player's narrative choices, but all of the possible branches the story could have unfolded to. Number 3. Dishonored. Sometimes the impact of the choices you make are not as simple as picking a dialogue option. Sometimes your actions have a greater impact than your words ever could. In Dishonored, you play as Corvo Atano, former bodyguard of Empress Jessamine Caldwin. When you fail to stop her assassination, you are set off on a path to find the conspirators who betrayed your Empress, rescue her daughter, and clear your name. Dishonored's sandbox level design allows players to explore different approaches to each stage, using your newly found powers for traversal, combat, and stealth. Players can choose to go in all guns blazing or can adopt a non-lethal approach, with each level even giving you the option of making your target disappear without shedding a drop of blood. How you choose to approach the game will have lasting consequences. If you do decide to go in all guns blazing or high chaos, you will see a plague of sickness overtake the city. There will be larger swarms of rats, and the infected will roam the streets in greater numbers, making your life a lot harder. Number 2. Mass Effect. Okay, I've put all 3 Mass Effect games into the one entry here. Putting aside the controversy of Mass Effect 3's ending and the sameness of its 3 alternative choices, the entire trilogy is full of choice and consequence, starting from whether you played as a male or female Shepard, who you save, who you kill, who you ally with, and who you romance. One particular part of the trilogy with lasting consequences which sticks with us is the final mission in Mass Effect 2. This mission is a culmination of every single action you've made in the game, and its consequences will follow you throughout Mass Effect 3. Did you build the trust of your crew enough? Did you prepare well enough? Did you pick the right teammates for the job? And did you have enough teammates to make the right choices in the first place? Make all the right choices and you can save everybody. Make the wrong ones and everyone dies. Number 1. Until Dawn. While many of the games on this list lean on the concept of the butterfly effect, Supermassive's Until Dawn makes it the game's whole premise. Following the story of a group of young adults who revisit a remote cabin 1 year after the tragic loss of their friends, the game starts out as a typical cabin in the woods style slasher, but evolves into a deeper supernatural story. The core premise of Until Dawn is that every single character in the group is vulnerable. You can finish the game saving everyone, or no one, and everything in between. Players will be confronted with scenarios throughout the multiple chapters where if they fail a series of QuickTime events, fail to keep their controller still enough, or make the wrong decisions in dialogue or actions, their character will die. Until Dawn plays on this sense of choice throughout the game, so much so that even the seemingly innocuous therapy sessions you encounter between chapters, featuring the excellent Peter Stormare, will feature word and photo association exercises, which will then impact the imagery in-game. Say that you're afraid of spiders, you may notice there are more spiders in the background. Say that you're afraid of clowns, and you know there's going to be a clown jump scare put in. There are supposedly 256 possible endings in Until Dawn that players can experience, and you cannot redo chapters or undo your decisions until you've played the game through at least once. So that's our list of 10 games where your decisions actually matter. Stay tuned for our video next week where we'll look at the games where your decisions don't mean a damn thing. What game decisions did you agonise over? Were there any major decisions that we missed? Tell us in the comments section below. Don't forget to like, subscribe and switch on those notifications so you don't miss our videos each week. This has been GameGentleman and thanks for watching.